The United States has the biggest base in the Middle East in Qatar. The Israelis wouldn't be able to do it without American green light.
Israel has been very precise with Hezbollah, but for some reason they weren't able to hit the leaders of Hamas.
Yeah, and I don't believe Israel wanted to kill them. The Muslims need to understand that Al-Aqsa is probably going to get destroyed under the Netanyahu's government. It was actually the Marco Rubio himself with Netanyahu under the tunnels beneath Al-Aqsa Masjid. The United States is with the Israeli government in their attempt to destroy Al-Aqsa. The Egyptian state understands the risk and understands that they're next. We don't want this black or white anymore, okay? If they move in the right direction, they will find us supporting them, period. I don't think the Israelis will dare to bomb the Turks.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to i3 Pulse. Today we'll be discussing what's next for Doha after the emergency summit. Will Israel's war spill far beyond Gaza into Turkey and Egypt? Can Muslim nations actually defend themselves, or are these US defense systems actually just for show? And will this crisis finally push Muslim countries to work together collectively? Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you doing?
It's good.
So I want to get your reaction on a spokesperson from Qatar's foreign affairs, and he's speaking about their relationship with the US.
Okay.
Qatar maintains a strategic relationship with the US, namely in terms of defense. Over the past years, you have witnessed this relationship growing. Therefore, to us, efforts are still ongoing to seal this agreement, and it was part of the discussions during his visit to Doha.
So, Sheikh, what's your reaction to this clip, and what does this mean for Qatar moving forward?
Well, it just means they're reaffirming their stance as an ally to the United States. They need the security guarantees. They need the defense. They need the United States to, defend them, defend the country, defend the establishment, defend the ruling family. It's a no-brainer. I mean, no surprise there. Qatar is a very small country. And they decided to ally themselves with the United States because the United States is the biggest bully in the area, and they did threaten them to basically overthrow them. So I'm not saying that this is a good excuse for them to host a military base in their country, nor allying themselves with the United States. I think any country can basically seek independence and seek real full sovereignty, but that takes a political will to do so. Qatar is a very, very rich country, so therefore they could create a better alliance architecture, or they could create a better alliance, agreements with different countries, not just the United States. I'm not saying basically they should necessarily oppose the United States because they might not have the capacity to do so. So I do have to be realistic from that perspective.
So it's one thing that Qatar, obviously cannot oppose the U.S., right? But why, double down on Washington so pretty firmly, especially after the THAAD missiles, the defense systems, the THAAD systems, the Patriot systems weren't even activated or used to protect Qatar from being hit by Israel. That's the one reason that Qataris would say.
Look, it's sad. It's very sad that they took this position and didn't push back at all. There was lots of, I think, leaked, unverified news to try to appease the public, I believe. One of them that they're trying to basically divert some investment away from the United States. Some of them basically seeking some, I think, Chinese military agreement for certain weapons. One with Turkey, one with, I think, France, one with Pakistan, buying the JF-17s. So, but I don't know which ones are verified. I believe I couldn't verify any of them until now. I didn't do lots of research though, but I hope that some of them are real. And but to be honest, basically it's hard. Also, that I tweeted about the S-500 from the Russians. Again, the issue is basically with the United States has the biggest base in the Middle East in Qatar,
and Qatar actually pays for all of that out of their own pocket.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing in return to for their defense, right? Again, I think that's a big mistake. They should basically seek agreements with Turkey and Pakistan and try to convince the GCC to be self-sustainable in terms of their protection. The protection should be They should be able to protect themselves. Why do we need somebody else? Like, protect yourself, be sovereign, and then deal with America as equals. Okay? Not maybe not equals, because they might not basically get there very quickly, even though they have the resources to do so. But let's say in the transition period, make some deals, but as an independent nation. You don't have to basically be coerced to deal with America.
Imagine, right? It's like, we pay you trillions of dollars, we host you here, and to defend us, we get hit. Here's another $1 trillion. It's like, exactly, right? Like, we definitely need a different direction there. Now, in terms of what's next, right? Will Israel strike Qatar again? Will the Qataris expel Hamas? Like, what do you think is up in the future here?
Well, I didn't see any move to expel Hamas. That's number one. Number two, Netanyahu said it very bluntly that, we'll hit you guys again. All the people you have in your country are still targets. We will hit whenever we want to hit. So it is pretty sad. Now, do I forecast that they will be hit soon again? To be honest, the United States had no problem with it. Let's just be very frank. Okay, any other statement is really for public consumption. There's no other reasons for that, because the Israelis wouldn't be able to do it without American green light. These are facts.
And the Israelis don't even have the military, not only just the permission, they don't even have the military capability to refuel and to go that far, come back. They need external support as well.
Yeah, so they had the British support, and again, we said the British and the Americans have a secret alliance.
Yeah.
Well, secret, not so secret actually. They really, they're pretty open about it. But yes, the U.S. and Britain are on the same line. So yes, they needed some support to conduct that.
Now, do you see? So your forecast is what? That it's not likely that they will hit, or there is a chance that they could hit. And because I'm trying to really understand now, what is the motive, right? Because Israel has been very precise with Hezbollah. They've been very precise with the Iranian generals. But for some reason, they weren't able to hit the leaders of Hamas.
Yeah, and I don't believe Israel wanted to kill them. Otherwise, they would have shot them. This whole story that basically they went for prayers during that 5 minutes,
and they left their phones in the room the exact same time.
I mean, like, for God's sakes, like, if they don't hear the voice, they know that they're not there anyway. So you know what I'm saying? Like, they've never missed. The Israelis never missed in Lebanon, never missed in Iran. They got people every single time. Yeah. So I believe they did not want to kill them, because these are the people who are negotiating, but they're threatening them and they're putting pressure. This is just part of the negotiations to get them to agree to the Israeli demands. And the reason they don't want to kill them is because maybe they're used to these specific characters, and if they do kill them, they'll get people who they don't know. So it's always better for the Israelis, or for anybody actually, any party, to negotiate with a party that's known. They know their weaknesses. They know their how they negotiate. They know how do they think. So they don't want to actually, kill them. So yeah.
Now, Sheikh, you mentioned with Qatar, right? There's a limitation on what they can do, but they can do a lot more if they cooperate with the nations around them, right?
Yeah.
Now, going to Turkey, right? They're a big player. Israeli officials have openly threatened to attack Hamas, leaders and wherever they are, and even they mentioned Turkey. They mentioned even, Egypt is one that's been mentioned as well.
I don't think Netanyahu mentioned Turkey.
No, but people within the government, Netanyahu is not mentioned Turkey.
Nothing on the official level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted to get your reaction to a clip where Netanyahu does speak about Erdogan from a different angle.
Yes.
Where he's hosting the U.S. Congress people. And this is underground and in Jerusalem. I believe if it's, you can correct me, Sheikh, it was underground itself, Al-Aqsa, or it's specifically within Jerusalem. And he makes a statement here.
Well, we're here. This is our city, Mr. Erdogan. It's not your city. It's our city. It will always be our city. It will not be divided again.
So he mentioned Erdogan by name multiple times, by the way, in this speech with the U.S. Congress people. Now, what's your take on this now? Like, why is he singling out Erdogan multiple times when he's speaking about, Jerusalem is theirs? Erdogan, you have to understand that.
So, well, look, it's clearly, Mr. Netanyahu clearly wants to deny the right of Muslims to Jerusalem. Okay, so It seems Erdogan made a statement, maybe probably before that, stating that Al-Aqsa or Al-Quds, Jerusalem is Islamic and so forth, and it's a reply to that. So this is just, I would say this is for public consumption. It might help both at the end of the day, because Netanyahu will look as if he is the one who's going to make all of Jerusalem for the Israelis, and also, it does make Erdogan look good because it's, he's been targeted by Netanyahu. See, anytime basically Netanyahu would basically attack somebody verbally, that makes that person look better in the eyes of the Muslims. So that's really that's what this whole thing is all about. Probably it's more for public consumption within Israel. But again, from an Islamic perspective, like as you can see, the Muslims need to understand that Al-Aqsa is probably going to get destroyed under the Netanyahu's government, and Jerusalem, we might lose all of Jerusalem under the Netanyahu government, and this is what he's reasserting. So.
And in fact, actually, some of the U.S. Congress people with Netanyahu, there's a picture, we'll put it up, where they were actually
250.
digging. Yeah, 250 Congress people visited Israel, and then they were actually digging, to kind of symbolize that we're gonna rebuild. And it's very.
This is Marco Rubio, actually.
Yes.
Was actually the Marco Rubio himself with Netanyahu under the tunnels beneath Al-Aqsa Masjid. Okay, because that's where they claim the temple is, right? Yeah. It's beneath. That's why the reason they're digging is to, bit by bit, let the foundation of the Aqsa crumble, and then it'll just get destroyed. And them basically participating in the digging of the tunnels is a pretty big sign that the United States is with the Israeli government in their attempt to destroy Al-Aqsa, basically. And I think it's going to come. I think it's going to happen soon, personally. But I think the Ummah is not going to do much because the Ummah already have seen a genocide, did nothing. So it's the reason they're comfortable doing this is because the Ummah have said, okay, we cannot do much. We're just waiting for God to give us victory from heavens.
Right, as you mentioned in the previous episode, right? We know in Islamically speaking, the blood of a single drop of a blood of a Muslim is greater than even the sanctity of the Kaaba.
Yeah.
And let alone even Al-Aqsa, and we're seeing a genocide. So if they see, they know this. So if Muslims are not doing anything about it, well, what are they going to do about this, right? Now, I do want to share with you something Erdogan was saying. This is a translation of his speech at the Doha summit. And he made some even though there was no action items that fully came out of it, but there were some stuff that he encouraged people to do and specific things. So I'd like to get your thoughts here.
Okay.
Our diplomatic efforts must be intensified to increase the imposition of sanctions on Israel, and international legal mechanisms must be used to hold Israeli officials accountable before justice. Dear brothers, we know that unless Israel faces strong reaction and sanctions, it will not halt in the short term, and instead will accelerate its policies of occupation and destabilization. We are aware that we do have the means to prevent this. It is now imperative that we achieve self-sufficiency in certain areas. At the forefront of these is a deterrent defense industry and development. I want you to know that we are ready to share our capabilities and experiences with you, my brothers. I believe we must intensify our cooperation starting now in these fields in order to win the coming decades. I also believe that Israel must be economically pressured. Past experiences show that such steps bring results. As Turkey, we have suspended all trade transactions with Israel for 1.5 years. Thus, we have given up an annual figure of $9.5 billion.
And then he continues about the ICC and all that stuff. But military cooperation, defense cooperation.
I think this is great. This is exactly what the Muslims needs to be doing. I like this. This is definitely this proposal. There has to be a Muslim Middle Eastern. At least, should be even a bigger Muslim-based cooperation throughout the whole Muslim world for security. But if it starts basically at least within this area due to the threat coming from the Netanyahu government, the Israeli state, hey, it's a start. And whether Erdogan is saying it with full seriousness or whether basically the other countries basically all heed his call or not, I think we need to continue to make these calls. Okay, we just need to push for them. I think people need to start speaking about these possibilities. Military alliances, sharing technology, focusing on defense deterrence, building economic blocks. These are very important strategic topics, to be honest.
Now, in terms of defense cooperation, right? We're seing that Turkey has their 5th generation, what they call their Khan fighter jet. So they have a major deal with Indonesia for 48 units over the next few years. And then also just recently, last month, Egypt just got approved to be part of Turkey's 5th gen Khan stealth program. What would this mean for the region now?
If this is true, and the Egyptians are sincere about it, I would say basically the Egyptian state understands the risk and understand that they're next. Okay, and they understand that all their F-16s will never fly, against Israel. They'll just, so they're looking for an alternative, and that's look, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. We'll always support any steps toward self-sustainability or independence in these countries. Even if we differ with certain policies that they have, we will always support it. They need to understand that the public, the masses, the intellectuals, we will support them when they do what's right. Okay? We don't want this black or white anymore. Okay? If they move in the right direction, they will find us supporting them. Period. Okay? So even speaking to the Egyptian military, that sadly have oppressed the Egyptian people in multitudes of cases in the last, let's say, decades, many decades actually, but at least in the last decade after the Arab Spring in specific, we will still basically be there to support these steps, to make Egypt stronger, to make Egypt better, to make Egypt independent, to make Egypt invincible from the regional threats that are sadly crowding against it. So.
Now, before we go into Egypt, because there's some stuff actually that Egypt has announced that I would love to get your thoughts on. A couple of things on Turkey. If Israel does agitate against Turkey, Turkey just recently announced their steel dome. They've announced some stuff that they're still working on. They're developing their industries. How would they fare off, right, in a war or battle against Israel? What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the areas of vulnerabilities for each side?
No, look, let me tell you something. There's a huge difference between Turkey and Iran. Okay, we've said it many times. Pro-Iranian Muslims who I understand that they feel that Iran is standing for itself or standing for the Muslims or standing for the region. This is where they're coming from. I totally understand that, okay? The reason I'm not in support of Iran and I disagree with them is because I understand the history of this Iranian regime. Okay, and understand the relationship they have with the United States, and whoever wants to dig in, they can see the reality. Now, on the other hand, I believe that Turkey as a state is more independent than Iran. Okay, and I don't believe and the Turkish state is also way stronger than Iran.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't believe even if Israel, let's say, supported by the United States, definitely, as usual, might be able to hurt Turkey. I think it's a different ballgame. I don't think the Israelis will dare to bomb the Turks. And I'll give you an example. Turkey downed a Russian plane, okay, during the Arab Spring.
Oh, yes, yeah, I remember that one.
So if Turkey, when the minute basically they encroached into a Turkish airspace, if Turkey is ready to basically stand off against the Russians, which is many times way more able than the Israelis, I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I personally believe so. Now, do I think that Turkey is a very strong country that can easily, push back on Israel and the United States and the United States support of Israel? They need way more. And they are moving in the right direction, both in the Navy, in the Air Force, and the Army, and also in the air defense, and hopefully in this space. Definitely, the biggest breakthrough they did was in the drones, the drone sector of the industry, right? Yeah. But hopefully, bit by bit, they're developing their 5th gen Khan aircraft. Let's see how good it is. The minute basically they can export it to many different countries, the more money they can, push into to make it faster and better and keep the industry, create a Muslim industry or military industrial complex for the Muslim countries. So the more you have customers, the more you're going to be able to actually invest more. So that's really what it is. So if Egypt, Indonesia are buying more of this plane, that's a good news.
Now, Egypt made an announcement after when Israel struck Doha, Qatar, and they said, number one, no more cooperation in the Sinai Peninsula. And then the other thing that they said is that they've actually invited the Hamas leaders to Cairo, saying that, okay, you guys can come to Cairo and we'll protect you. None of this will happen with us. What do you make of that?
Well, again, I want to still observe to see, are the Egyptians really feeling the threat from the Israelis, or all of this is a show to quash the very angry sentiment of Egyptians? Okay, I'm leaning toward the second, because the Egyptian government is intertwined with the Israeli government behind the scenes. Everybody knows that. This is nothing like secretive that I'm bringing to the table. And that's why I still basically lean toward that it is for public consumption, even though I am open and I'm still observing to see if the regime understand that the Israelis want them toppled. I hope they understand that, because the Israelis will never, they're saying it, they want the greater Israel, which means basically they need to take part of Egypt. So, maybe some individuals in the Egyptian government, especially at the top, might be okay with that. They're like, yeah, you want to take the Sinai Peninsula, I take it, but just keep me in power. But I know for sure, there's zero doubt about it, that the majority of the military institution, right, with higher ups from brigadiers and maybe even military major generals, but at least brigadiers and colonels and lieutenant colonels and definitely everything below that, they have at least, if not Islamic sentiment, Egyptian nationalistic sentiment that makes them say, no way, we will never give an inch of Egypt. So I would say this is the vast majority. So I hope some of those, especially those who are within, let's say, the think tanks of the establishment, understand the threat that the Israelis are planning towards the Egyptian state and the Egyptian land, and take the right steps towards securing Egypt, making it stronger. And we've heard in the news that they bought the HQ9B from the Chinese. I hope this is true news. I did not confirm it yet myself, but
yeah, they purchased this a few months ago, and now it seems like they're deploying it in just specifically for the Sinai Peninsula.
Okay, if this is true news, again, I'm going to double check myself. But definitely, if this is true, it's a good step forward, because again, it has to be Chinese equipment, because the American stuff will never work, right? So.
Well, clear, yeah, exactly, right. It's not even a matter of like, can this?
We just out in Qatar, right?
Yeah, can the American equipment? It's not a question of do they have the capability to defend the country. The equipment has it, but will it be used that way? It won't, right? So
no.
That's
the
reality.
Never be used, exactly.
I guess this is a bit of a tangent, but just on this topic of American equipment, there's been rumors that the F-35s, right, and some certain of the American kind of fighter jets have like a kill switch. That the Americans have kind of put in like a little bit of a kill switch, so that if anybody is trying to use it without their permission, then they can basically shut it down remotely. Is that something that, what do you think?
I don't think anybody has real proof about the kill switch, but like, again, any engineer knows that these equipments are so highly complex and sophisticated in a way that they're intertwined for the aircraft to actually run. It's connected to so many systems, right? So there is, let's say, a quote unquote kill switch, and especially in these very highly integrated, intelligent aircrafts. You see what I'm saying?
And then there's also the supply chain, right?
The supply chain is the basic kill switch.
Yeah,
this is the basic. Yeah, this is for any airplane. As long as it's a mechanical tool that's moving, that is, you can say, the least level of kill switch. But don't forget, basically, these very highly information. All the data links that are connected, is just, unless you have your own systems that are running the back end of these planes, it's just, it loses most of its capability. I don't say lots of its capability. And that's why it might be rendered unusable because of that.
Now, going back to the HQ-9Bs, do they have the capabilities and capacities to protect Egypt from the F-35? Tested.
Same thing with my answer is the S-400 and even the 500. we have not seen them battle tested to see if they can actually protect and bring down such highly capable, stealthy planes.
And the other thing of concern is that these are not the latest ones, right? There's some other ones that are more, have better iterations of.
Well, don't forget the
HQ9s.
Chinese are not as advanced as the Russians yet. You have to understand that the Russian technology in certain fields is still ahead of the Chinese, especially in engine technology and air defense systems, and even I would say maybe in fighter jet design.
Would the Chinese be better on the fighter jets because they're saying they have a 6th generation?
Yeah, so the Chinese might have had an edge in that for now, but the air defense and the engine technologies, for example, is the Russians are still ahead.
So one thing that's interesting me is there was a report on Axios where a senior U.S. official basically mentioned that it's not Trump's war, it's Bibi's war, right? And that there's, really, look, we're fine with the ground invasion of Gaza City. We're fine with what Israel's going to do. It's between them and what's going on the ground in Gaza. It's not really our business. Does this mean that now, number one, is this true? And does this mean that the U.S. is now perfectly fine with the, what's happening now in Gaza City with so many people being killed on the ground?
Look, it seems there's total diversion in the U.S. policy towards Gaza. Okay, during the Biden administration, they were totally in opposition to Netanyahu. Totally. Okay, we've seen that. We when Trump came in, he came and struck hard and showed off as he's the big shot and so forth. Something changed. Okay, is it some like leaks, blackmails from the Israeli state or the Zionist lobby? I cannot say, to be honest. Or just basically maybe Trump said, the heck with you guys. I just do whatever you want to do. Just whatever. It's not. And Gaza is just like, it's not as if Gaza concerns the United States. Like, by the way, then this is from the beginning. Like, Muslims need to understand the United States does not care about Gaza at all. This has zero importance for Gaza. It's not as if they're gonna American interest really lies there, or they need some like the natural gas on the shore. It's like these things are too tiny for the United States to even care about. But yeah, such statements basically shows total maybe this was a point where it created tension. Maybe they needed something from the administration. Maybe they got that and they're like, okay, done, just do whatever you want. I don't really know. But what I can observe is a change of policy between Biden and Trump today.
Now, it's very interesting. You mentioned even the concept of blackmail, right? That, there could be blackmail on Trump, and all the media outlets were talking about the Epstein book with that Trump and the letter and all this stuff.
I mean, Trump is implicated. Everybody knows that.
Yes.
Like, it's like the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah. Now, my question is, which I found odd, right? Because it's not just Trump, right? There's former presidents of the United States, there's scientists, there are other billionaires. So like, let's say the president's implicated, certain key people implicated. It's not really everybody, but I guess Trump is not the only power broker in the United States. There's a deep state, right? And what would be their benefit to letting a president who seems to be compromised from a blackmail standpoint?
Look, nobody can compromise or blackmail the American president. Just understand that. Okay, maybe people within his party, his supporters, maybe, and that's where basically you might say, "Look, I don't want these individuals to go away. I don't want to burn that card. Might as well basically." Nobody can touch the Trump. From outside the American deep state. Nobody. Okay. And
you're saying as long as basically if the deep state's aligned with that move, then they're fine, they're comfortable.
Exactly.
But then if they're not aligned, then they can just really get rid of him.
100%.
And this happened with.
And don't forget, like let's not think that Trump is outside the deep state as a fact. It's not. There's two possibilities: that Trump is actually within the deep state, and within the deep state there is basically difference of opinion, or the other less likely is that he's against the deep state. Yeah. For me, it's less likely. Okay, as to say, there's a discussion about it between intellectuals and political analysts.
Yeah, like Trump 2016 was a different man than like Trump, 2025, right? He's a complete, almost like you just see like, oh my God, right? Like even his followers are kind of losing that trust with him. So Sheikh, we spoke about different key players in the region, right? We spoke about how the previous episode Qatar could have options, cooperating with others, but now it seems like they're more kind of going back into the arms of the U.S. So, Gaza is burning, Doha got bombed. Now we have Cairo, Ankara, they're making their moves. Is this kind of a point where the nations have to decide that do they want to work together, or do they just want to entrench themselves deeper into the US's, interests and then become weakened further and further?
I think, to be honest, basically, this decision, let's say, or opportunity to make such a decision has been there for decades and decades for these countries. And sadly, the answer was always to basically get entrenched under the United States further and further and further and further and further. There was a time basically in the 40s and the 50s and maybe the 30s where basically countries were deciding between the British or the Americans, for example.
Exactly.
And, the Americans won, and outright win, like a landslide win. And now everybody just goes one direction. Now, with the rise of China, things could differ. It could change, but not now. A little bit later from now.
But these are lessons to take that, don't fall from one external nation's hands into another external nation's hands, and rather use that to create options and cooperate as fellow countries.
Exactly.
Together.
That is the right thing. That's the right strategic move for all of these countries, is to start now creating blocks, both economic, security, political, whatever it is, so they can strengthen themselves as a group, and then also build their own, nation in the inside too. So yeah.
Well, Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. I really enjoy how you call it like it is, and giving kind of like that points when needed, and then giving that firm, clear advice when needed as well. I feel like this is very extremely balanced. Okay, guys, make sure that you subscribe now, you comment, you share, you like. We're going to keep commentating on what's happening around the world. And the number one place you got to go to for political commentary is i3 Pulse. We'll see you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.